Before we even get started, I would like to thank this week's new camera crew. Hopefully, technically, everything's going to be fine. This week, Parshiyos, Nitzavim-Vayelech. As I'm sure everybody is aware, I'm actually hoping that everybody is aware, this Shabbos is the last Shabbos of Tafshin Ayin Gimel, the last Shabbos before Rosh Hashana. The Gemara, Masechta Rosh Hashana, Daf Beis, Amud Beis, tells us a very important thing, that Yom Echad B'Shana Chashuv Shana. One day in a year can have an effect and can be considered as if it is an entire year. And the Nesivos Shalom says that we can actually use this to teach us a very important lesson. And the lesson we need to know this week is that even on the last day of the year, if a person carries it mamash to the last day, you can be mesaken the entire year. Yom echad b'shana chashuv shana. One day in a year can be considered as if it is an entire year. And of course it would follow, says the Nesivos Shalom, that on the last Shabbos of the year, which is coming up tomorrow night, a person can be mesaken for all the previous Shabbosos of the entire year. Whatever you have to be mesaken, whether it's keeping Shabbos, the way you spent Shabbos, the way you spoke on Shabbos, the things you thought about on Shabbos, the things you did on Shabbos, the last Shabbos of the year can be mesaken all the previous Shabbosos of the entire year. But even more so, it is also, Zok the Nesivos Shalom, aside from being a day that you could be mesaken the other Shabbosos of the year, the Shabbos before Rosh Hashana is the hachana for the Yomim Noraim that are about to commence, that are about to come next week. This Shabbos is considered the entranceway, the shar, the hachana to the Yom Noraim, Rosh Hashana, Shabbos Shuvah, Yom Kippur, all the Aseres Yemei Tshuva. This is the entranceway. And as we face Rosh Hashana coming up next week, everybody has a very, very important question. We know when comes Rosh Hashana, we face the Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're going to be standing in front of the King. How exactly are we going to face the King? How do we come? And once again this year, we're going to come to the Melech Malchei Amlachim and we're going to ask Him for everything that we need and everything that we want. How is it possible that we could do that while we are carrying all the things and all the chatoim that a person did in the past year? How do we do that? How does a person work himself up? How does a person get up to that task to come ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for everything while you just spent an entire year either not keeping your Kabbalahs or lehepach, or doing Averas, different things? How do we do that? So the Nesivos Shalom says, an eitzah for this prat, for this thing that you're worried about, an eitzah for this is this Shabbos. This Shabbos you have an opportunity to do something about that. The Sefer Be'er Mayim Chaim, on this week's Parsha, on one of the Parshiyos of this week, a Parsha Nitzavim, brings the Yisoid from the Zohar that all brachas that a person gets in their life, all brachas originate from the Shabbos. If a person has a bracha during the week, if a person has success during the week, if a person has nachas during the week, a person has something good during the entire week, it originates on Shabbos. In other words, the preceding Shabbos emanates all the brachas that shine on you through the entire week. And it's the same inyan be'emes we spoke about by Shabbos HaGadol. The Shabbos before something, the light of either that Yontif or what we're coming across in the calendar on Shabbos HaGadol, the Ha'aras of Pesach. Anybody who learns through Hasidic Svarim knows that the Shabbos before, by Shabbos HaGadol, the Ha'aras of Pesach already there. We know Shabbos Shuvah, we've mentioned in years past, by Shabbos Shuvah, the light of Yom Kippur is already there in Shabbos Shuvah. In the same way, says the Nesivos Shalom, on this Shabbos before Rosh Hashana, the inyanim of Rosh Hashana are already here. And a person's life, his parnasa, and everything that you're going to ask for in the next year And all the brachas that you want to get, and all the brachas that you will get coming up in the Mir Tashem and Tavshin Ayin Daled, it emanates from this Shabbos. It begins in this Shabbos, the Shabbos before Rosh Hashana. And if we want to try to understand that, in other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu be'emes looks at every neshama. It's brought down in Tzvarim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at every one of us on Rosh Hashana, and He sees exactly what we need. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to give us everything that we need. And the beginning of that, the beginning of HaKadosh Baruch Hu looking at us and seeing how we're acting and assessing us for what we need, that begins on this Shabbos. This Shabbos is the Shar, the entranceway to Rosh Hashana. So the question is, the question that we just asked before. We asked before, how could one possibly come to Rosh Hashana? How do we stand in front of Hashem with all of our Averos? That same question we could ask about this Shabbos. If this Shabbos is the beginning and the entranceway to Rosh Hashana, how do we come into this Shabbos? This Shabbos is already beginning. It's already a scary thought. We're standing in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How do we stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu now on this Shabbos? So Nesivos Shalom says that a person has to know that Shabbos is different. That Shabbos is above all other madregas. And on Shabbos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings us up to Him. And we say, Lehechaloi kuloi omer kavod. We say it on Friday night, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings us, and we've discussed on Yontiv. On Yontiv it's different. We'll talk about Hashem before Sukkot. On Yontiv, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes down to us here and dwells with us over here. On Shabbos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings us up to Him. Now, Shabbos is like the Ben Zug of Klal Yisrael. Shabbos is like the Gemara in Shabbos says, Shabbos is like the spouse of Klal Yisrael. We're in the shadow of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And because we are there, Hashem gives us special privileges. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings us up, and Shabbos we're totally, absolutely different people. We reach a Tainug on Shabbos of Yirviyun Mideshen Beisecha. We're in the house of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're not the same people we are the whole week. There's a beautiful Ramban. The Ramban in Parshiyos Pinchas says that the reason why on Shabbos we do not bring a Sor Lechatas at the Korban Musaf time, why do we not bring a Sor Lechatas on Shabbos? Zok the Ramban that on Shabbos, on Yontif we still bring it, but on Shabbos, because we are the Bas Zug of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and because we're with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He uses a lashon of Hakol Shalom. And you have to understand what that means. You have to go into it. There are many different explanations of what that means. But the bottom line is, what the Ramban is saying is that when we are together with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, everything's at peace. And there's no reason right then for a Sor Lechatas. The love that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has for every one of us covers up our iniquities. On Shabbos, it's all covered up. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, does not look at that. And even, like the Gemara says, somebody is oived, avoid zara kedor enoish. If a person does a severe chet, you get mechila on Shabbos. And that's the Gemara. The Gemara Masechta Shabbos, Kuf Yud Ches Amud Beis, famous Gemara. Gemara says that even a person is oived severe averis on Shabbos, Kodesh Baruch Hu looks away. Therefore, the preparation for Rosh Hashana starts right now on this Shabbos. Kodesh Baruch Hu lifts us up to a new Metzias. And with that, from this Shabbos starting, if we concentrate on that this Shabbos, then we are carried into Rosh Hashana with that. And we see this Yisoid Be'emes in our Parsha also. Parshas Nitzavim. This week we speak about the Parsha of Tshuva, the Shavta ad Hashem Elokecha, that we will return, we come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And in the Parsha it says, Parsha says, V'shavta, Zok Nesivos Shalom, the Shavta is the same Ois as V'Shabbos. That on Shabbos you have the biggest opportunity to return to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbos creates a special ahava. Im yeh nidachacha b'ktzei hashamayim mishom yikabetzcha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu from there will bring us back. The Medrash in Bereshis Rabbah brings down a very interesting thing. It says that after Cain killed Hevel, his brother, so Adam Arishain met Cain. He met him. Cain was walking, and he met Cain. And he asked Cain, what's going to happen to you now? What are we going to do now? What is going to be justice for what you did? Adam Rishon asked Cain. So Cain said the following. Cain said, Osisi Shuva V'nis Pasharti. Cain told Adam Rishon, I did Shuva and V'nis Pasharti. So to speak, I took care of business with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Medrash says that Adam Rishon was extremely surprised. He saw amazing koyach of tshuva, that Cain, after killing his own brother, he's able to say, Asisi tshuva, I did tshuva, but he's pasharti. So the Medrash says that Adam, in his surprise, turned around and said, Mizmor Shir liyoyim HaShabbos. So the Chayra, everybody has the same question, a bomb question. What does discovering the koyach of tshuva have to do with Mizmor Shir liyoyim HaShabbos? What Adam was seeing, Adam saw that even after such a big chait, and even after the entire week, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had told Cain that Cain would have to be Nov and Nod. So Adam Rishon now saw that even though Cain would have to be Nov and Nod a whole week, on Shabbos he would be able to reconnect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. By Yosem Hashem LeCain Ois, Zok to Nesivos Shalom, that Ois that the Pasuk is talking about is the Ois of Shabbos. So therefore, Adam Rishon said, Mizmor Shir liyoyim HaShabbos. Adam Rishon saw that the entire thing was out the koyach of Shabbos. That Ein Chanami, Cain was going to be punished the entire week. But V'nis Pasharti, when it came to Shabbos Kodesh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at everybody different. He looked at it totally different. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu that I have a treasure chest. The Shabbos Shema, and Shabbos is its name. And what did Hashem tell Moshe Rabbeinu? Lech v'hoidiyem. Don't let it be a passive knowing. Go, make sure you notify Klal Yisrael. What's Lech v'hoidiyem, Zok Nesivos Shalom? What should Moshe Rabbeinu tell them? Don't tell them that it is Shabbos, that it's such a thing called Shabbos. Lech v'hoidiyem, the Gemara in Shabbos, Daf Yudam and Beis. Make sure that Klal Yisrael knows the koyach of Shabbos. Make sure they know what they could accomplish on Shabbos. And now, make sure they know that Shabbos is the gateway to everything. And that's an important lesson for us to know on this Shabbos right now. We're here, we're a year later, we're a year after last Rosh Hashana. What happened to last year's Kabbalahs? As anybody's guess, right? A person has to make a cheshbon nefesh. What I was makabel last year, what I was better at this year, what I wasn't so good at this year. But it all starts, you want to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for rachamim. You want to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to look at you in a different light. I'm not that person. I'm a different person. I want to be a different person. V'nis Pasharti. I want HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want you to come to terms with me and allow me another chance to grow, another chance to be better, another chance to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that next year we're going to be better people. It begins on this Shabbos, the Shabbos before Rosh Hashana. This is the last Shabbos of the year. Every minute on Shabbos, every day we said could be considered an entire year. Every minute, this Shabbos, the last Shabbos of the year, is an opportunity for us to look back and tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're going to be better. We want to be better. We want to be better. We want to be better. Let's talk and concentrate on this. And everybody out there in the entire world that's watching the Shiur, I want to thank you for watching every week the entire year. We're finishing up our 4th year, believe it or not, which brings us to almost 200 Shiurim online. And the Mitzvah Shem, we hope to grow and get better. After Rosh Hashana, everybody should be zoichet to a ksiva v'chasim tov and a good geben shiur.